Go in bed, no.
Wrong again. It's the truth. I know they wouldn't know the truth if it punched them in the face, but I'm telling them the truth. It is no wonder that we read this morning that the former Deputy Prime Minister has said about the Health Secretary she'd rather stick pins in her eyes than be on his golden ticket. And, Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister congratulates himself on 5 million extra appointments. In our last year of office, we delivered 6.5 million extra appointments. Under Labour, Mr. Speaker, everything is getting worse. Jobs, bills, police numbers, teacher numbers, everything is getting worse. The Cabinet should be doing their own jobs. What are they doing? They're trying to compete for the caretaker's job. The only person who doesn't want the Prime Minister's job is the Chancellor. She's just trying to cling on to her own. Isn't it time, Mr. Speaker, that the Prime Minister admits that Labour isn't working?
Grab your coffee, take a deep breath, and maybe keep a medic on standby. Because what you're about to see isn't just Prime Minister's questions. It's the political version of someone insisting they didn't break the vase while still clutching the broken pieces. Welcome to the Westminster Waffle-Off, starring Keir didn't quite answer that Starmer and Rishi Grill Master General Sunak. And trust me, this wasn't a debate. It was a full-blown demolition derby. Labour's talking points were scattered across the Commons floor like confetti from a parade nobody planned properly. But before we roll the chaos, quick favor, if you're enjoying content like this, hit that like button and smash subscribe. Somehow, 98% of you watch without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it means the world to the channel. Go on, tap it. Done? Nice. You're a legend. All right, let's get into it.
And can I echo the sentiments of the Prime Minister? The thoughts of the whole House will rightly be with the family of Lance Corporal Hooley, who tragically died supporting Ukraine in her fight for freedom. Can the right honourable gentleman tell the House why are his own MPs describing him as a caretaker Prime Minister?
Mr. Speaker, my own MPs are very proud we've just passed a budget which protected our public services and our NHS. No austerity which brought our NHS to the ground. We've created the conditions for economic stability with the headroom we need. And, Mr. Speaker, we're concentrating on the single most important issue for families up and down the country, which is the cost of living, by taking £150 off their energy bills. That's in addition to the £150 for the 6 million of the poorest household. We're concentrating on what matters to the country. She's trying to save her job.
Mr. Speaker, let me answer the question for the Prime Minister. He's being called a caretaker because everyone can see that he's lost control of his party. And this lot, they're all so busy trying to replace him.
Order. Sorry? Can I just say the same people are making the same noises they made last week? I did say last week it wasn't the right time. I wouldn't do it this week. So please, let's not carry on with the way we left it last week. Can we bear not?
Mr. Speaker, they can make as much noise as they like. We all know that this lot are so busy trying to replace him that they've taken their eyes off the ball. Let's start, Mr. Speaker. Wait for it. Let's start with the Energy Secretary, who wants to recycle himself as leader. He said he'd cut families' energy bills by £300. Can the Prime Minister tell the House how much have energy bills fallen by since the election?
Well, Mr. Speaker, I'm very pleased to say we're taking £150 off energy bills. I can also tell her that that's on top of the £150 we've taken off last year for the 3 million poorest families, now for 6 million poorest families. Mr. Speaker, she talks about leaving. The problem for us, last week,
What? Mr. May, I've told this side. I'll now tell this side. We don't need the pantomime auditions anymore, please.
Mr. Speaker, last week I pointed out that 3 of her ex-MPs went to reform. That included the former Deputy Chairman, Jonathan Gullis. He likes to think of himself as a straight talker. He said they're finished and they've lost the trust of the British people. In total, Mr. Speaker, 21 ex-Tory MPs have now left for reform. The real question, Mr. Speaker, is who's next? We can all see the Shadow Justice Secretary twitching after his come and get me plea from the member of Clacton. Mr. Speaker, we need no lessons from them.
Mr. Speaker, I asked him about energy bills. You could power the national grid on all of that hot air. He promised to cut energy bills by £300. Energy bills have risen by £187. But let's look at someone else who's making a mess. Let's look at the Education Secretary. Oh, there she is. Labour pledged to recruit 6,500 more teachers. So can the Prime Minister tell the House how many extra teachers are there since she became Education Secretary?
More than when they left office. I'm very proud to say so. We're in an upward trajectory. Oh, Mr. Speaker, they left our health service on its knees. They left our schools in a mess. They left our economy absolutely broken. They should be utterly ashamed of their record in service.
Wrong. Mr. Speaker, there are now 400 fewer teachers since she came into office. She's shaking her head. It's on the DFE website. Does she not check it once in a while? I can understand that the Right Honourable Lady is angry. We're all angry at the mess she's making. The Prime Minister doesn't know what's going on in energy. He doesn't know what's going on in education. Does he know anything about what's going on in the Home Office? Last year, the Prime Minister promised to recruit 13,000 more police officers. How's that going?
Prime Minister.
3,000 more by the end of March, and we're rising on police numbers. Mr. Speaker, they left the Home Office. The criminal justice system is utterly broken. Sir Brian Leveson has said on that. They lost control of our borders. They lost control of every single department. And she's obviously spent the morning rehearsing for the Liz Truss show. She's probably going to be the guest star next week. Both of them talking about how Liz Truss was 100% right. But what Liz Truss said was the Conservatives need to take... No, they don't want to hear it. The Conservatives need to take responsibility. The Conservatives need to take responsibility for their 14 years of failure. That was Liz Truss, their former leader. So perhaps she'll heed that, get up and say sorry.
Wrong again. I asked him how many police officers. There are now 1,300 fewer officers than at the election. So, Mr. Speaker, I don't know if the Home Secretary wants his job, but I do read that she's having conversations with Tony Blair because he's already given up on the Prime Minister. Why don't we talk about the Health Secretary? Let's see how he's doing. We do know he definitely wants the job. He said he'd end the doctor strikes. So can the Prime Minister tell the House how many appointments have been lost to strike action since last July?
Mr. Speaker, they left the NHS an absolute mess, with the highest waiting lists on record and the lowest confidence in the NHS ever. The Health Secretary said he would do 2 million extra appointments. He hasn't done 2 or 3 or 4. He's done 5 million extra appointments. That is because we invested in the NHS. What did they do? Having broken it, they voted against that investment. They should hang their heads in shame.
Mr. Speaker, I asked him how many appointments have been lost to strike action. He doesn't know. Let me tell him. We have lost 93,000 appointments to strikes since the Health Secretary gave doctors a massive pay rise.
It all started like every political carnival with solemn tribute. Kemi rose, calm and composed, echoing heartfelt condolences for Lance Corporal Julie, a reminder that real courage looks nothing like what was about to unfold. Then, bam! The gloves were off. With the precision of a barista and the energy of a mom discovering an empty biscuit tin, Kemi turned to Starmer and launched the first question. The labor benches held their breath like schoolboys caught sneaking out of detention. "Why are your own MPs calling you a caretaker prime minister?" she asked. Starmer did what he does best, launch into a symphony of verbal fog. NHS this, cost of living that, budgets, headroom, the whole works. It was like asking for directions and being handed a mindfulness brochure. He rattled off a list of how he's laser-focused on the British people, like a man fixing a leaking sink while water pours from the ceiling. Kemi blinked, nodded, and fired back a reply you could bottle and sell as parliamentary pepper spray. "He's being called a caretaker," she declared, "because everyone can see he's lost control of his party." Chaos erupted. Labour MPs squirmed like pigeons in a wind tunnel as she pointed out that half were auditioning to replace him. Then she locked in like a heat-seeking missile. "Let's start with the Energy Secretary, who wants to recycle himself as leader. He promised to cut bills by £300, so how much have bills actually fallen since the election?" Starmer? Word salad. 150 here, 150 there, like a game of energy bill bingo. He tried to pivot, dragged in Reform UK, even took a swing at Jonathan Gullis. Bold, but ineffective. Kemi wasn't having it. "You could power the national grid on that hot air," she snapped. Somewhere in Westminster, thermostats trembled in fear. Next stop, the Department for Education. Labour promised 6,500 new teachers. Kemi asked how many have actually arrived since her party took office. Starmer puffed up, smiled proudly, and said, "More than when we left office. Upward trajectory." He beamed like a graph climbing into space. But Kemi had the actual data waiting, baseball bat in hand. "Wrong," she shot back, sharper than a tax audit. "There are 400 fewer teachers since your party took office." The labor benches squirmed, clearly regretting not checking the Department for Education website that morning. Kemi shook her head and added, "Doesn't she check it once in a while?" The crowd erupted. Somewhere, a fact-checker cracked their knuckles in gleeful anticipation. But Kemi wasn't done. Like a stand-up comic on fire, she pivoted straight to the Home Office. The Prime Minister had promised 13,000 new police officers. "How's that going?" she asked, in the tone of someone who already knew the punchline. Starmer fumbled out reassurances. 3,000 by March. And the suspense hung in the Commons like a drum roll before the punchline. The numbers kept rising, yada yada, but Kemi wasn't having it. "Wrong again," she boomed. "There are 1,300 fewer officers than at the election. That's not a policy gap, that's a vanishing act." And now for the grand finale, the NHS, the crown jewel of any Commons showdown. Labour's health secretary had promised to end doctor strikes, so Kemi asked how many appointments have been lost to strike action since July. Starmer froze, like a deer caught in parliamentary headlights. Instead of answering, he launched into a long-winded speech. Messes inherited, investments made, 5 million extra appointments, the usual. Greatest hits medley. But Kemi was relentless. She shot back the number. 93,000 appointments lost to strikes since doctors got a pay rise. Delivered like a courtroom mic drop. Then, just to add salt to the wound, "I know they wouldn't know the truth if it punched them in the face, but I'm telling them the truth." Savage, theatrical, very British. She even referenced the former Deputy Prime Minister, who would apparently rather stick pins in their eyes than sit on the Health Secretary's golden ticket. You could practically hear the Labour benches sigh, like passengers on a delayed train. Kemi pressed on, firing fact after fact like a caffeinated cannon. Jobs, bills, police numbers, teacher numbers, everything worse than before. And the final gut punch? The cabinet should be doing their own jobs. What are they actually doing? Competing for the caretaker prime minister. The only one uninterested? The chancellor, just trying to cling to her own portfolio. Brutal. Like watching someone try to retweet themselves out of a speeding ticket. There it was, a parliamentary performance so sharp the dispatch box almost got splinters. Kemi didn't just ask questions, she ran an audit, chaired a tribunal, and executed a roast, all in one session. Starmer, spinning stats like a quiz contestant bluffing through the final round. Less leader of the opposition, more head of deflection. Before we wrap, quick favor. If you've survived this second-hand embarrassment, smash that like button and obliterate subscribe. Over 98% of you watch without subscribing. Don't be like a backbench MP dodging a vote. It costs nothing but fuels the chaos. And as always, remember, this is parody. No politicians were harmed in making this roast, at least not physically. We don't endorse parties or spread hate. We just shine the spotlight on the circus and hand you the popcorn. So until next time, ask yourself, if this is what stability looks like, what does chaos look like? And who, pray tell, will be the next contestant in the Caretaker Chronicles?